Welcome back to another episode of Timeout with Makali with your host, Makali Pennycooke. Today we got another jam-packed episode today. The NBA Finals was on Sunday, Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Obviously, OKC, they won the championship in Game 7, their first NBA championship in their history. We'll be talking about Tyrese Haliburton's heartbreaking injury, Kevin Durant's trade to the Rockets, Jrue Holiday trade to the Blazers, and the other Celtics trades that they've made today, and Ace Bailey's confusing draft process, and also my story and my experience about how I was there at Fanatics Fest on Saturday. We're in a different little setup. This is going to be a little bit of a couch podcast, so let's get into it. Alrighty. So the Thunder. So first of all, before I say anything, we're in a different setup today. Obviously, my desk and my original main setup today, it fell off its hinges today. It broke. The screws were pretty loose, so we have to get it fixed for next episode. But I've been so content driven. I want to keep pushing this out. I didn't want to take the week off, especially with the NBA draft coming up, and especially talking about the NBA Finals and everything, and all the NBA politics. I didn't want to miss out on that. I didn't want to miss out on that on this week. Today we got a little bit of a couch podcast. I'm set up right now on the couch. We got everything set up. It's been a little bit challenging, recording, but this is what I want to do, and I'm gonna keep on doing it. Whether it has to be sitting on a damn couch. But anyways, the Thunder are the NBA champion. They've won the championship. They're NBA champions for the first time in franchise history. In my opinion, they were the best team from start to finish. They basically won the championship in Game 7 with their defense. They were historic defense all year long, and especially throughout these playoffs, they were the best defense in the entire NBA, and it showed. And with their defense in the reason why they won this game, you just look at their third quarter. I mean, they were creating turnovers left and right. Turnovers. And they finally didn't allow TJ McConnell to go off. They decided to double him and trap him in their first more turnovers. And that's the theme of, this championship team is their defense was elite. It was historic. And the Pacers, they had 20 turnovers. You're not going to win an NBA game with having over 20 turnovers, in my opinion. So, Sam Presti, in my opinion, is the one who really deserves the most flowers in this situation. The guy, his vision, he built this vision from years ago after they made the trade for Paul George, when they traded Paul George and when they traded Russell Westbrook. That trade led them to a championship. You think about it, Paul George, they traded him and they got back SGA, MVP candidate player, an MVP player, a top 3 player in the game. They got back, one of those draft picks, they used that draft pick to draft Jalen Williams. And in that draft, they got Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren. So, they've built this team throughout the draft, throughout key acquisitions and trades. It's truly, I think Sam Presti right now is truly, one of the best GMs in all sports right now. And this team was the second youngest team in NBA history to win a championship. The first was the 1978 Trailblazers, which is absolutely crazy. And they have 14 draft picks. They have 14 draft picks in the next 10 drafts. So they could easily, retool this team. They can reshape, they can replace guys through the draft, or they can use some of those draft picks they have now and try and get another player if they want. They could use some of these. I know right now they're trying to move inside the lottery. They're trying to move inside the top 10 right now. So there's a lot of things that the OKC Thunder can do with their draft picks, and they're going to be and they're young and they're flexible. Now, obviously, SJ is probably going to get the largest contract extension in NBA history, because after the season he just had, they're going to extend J-Dub. They're probably going to extend Chet, and that's the craziest thing. They're just going to continue to get. I don't even think this is the peak of form of this team. Especially, I don't think J-Dub has really hit his peak yet. I said this on my TikTok. The guy is only 23, 24 years old. And in his third season, he obviously had his best season. He was All-NBA third team. He was an All-Star. He was an All-Defensive player. It's just he's going to continually get better. I don't even think we've seen his peak. And he averaged 23 points a game this NBA Finals. He was balling. He hit a 40-point game in Game 5. Chet, I think this was his. I know this is his third season in the NBA, his second playing season, and he's only going to continue to get better and better and better. We haven't even seen him hit his peak in form and prime yet. I mean, obviously, the one concern you have with him is his frame. You know, he's going to be sustainable to injuries, but the dude had 5 blocks in Game 7, the most in an NBA Finals Game 7, 5 blocks, which is ridiculous. But, you know, and their role players are young too. Case and Wallace. I think Lou Dort is like 25, 26. You know, Hartenstein, who's 27. You know, Aaron Wiggins, who's off the bench. Isaiah Joe, who didn't play that much, but they're so deep. You know, even Kenrich Williams, you know, he comes off the bench from time to time. And honestly, their secret weapon is Alex Caruso. And Alex Caruso is the oldest player on the team. He's 31 years old. Oldest player on the team. And there's some guys off the bench right now for them that can play right now on any other team. Like, I think Jalen Williams, the other Jalen Williams, Jay Will can play on some teams right now. They have a lot of guys off the bench who can contribute to other teams. That's how deep they are. And they're going to be here for a while. I think, you know, the NBA has had, you know, its parity. You know, this is the 7th different champion, which is good for the league. You know, you like that. You like the parity. No repeat champions. But I think OKC is pretty damn close to becoming one of the teams that can repeat as champions. They could potentially be on the verge of a dynasty because of how young and how many draft picks they have. It's just going to be, I think it's going to be crazy. I think it's going to be one of those teams, you know, that they're not going to go away. They're going to be here for a while. And SGA, he joined Michael Jordan and Shaquille O'Neal and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, one of only 4 players in NBA history to have an MVP, a scoring title, All-NBA first team, an All-Star, Finals MVP, and a championship. He's the only team in NBA history to do that. I mean, he's one of the 4 players in NBA history to do that. He literally just joined MJ. He had an MJ-esque season, and he had, combined with the regular season and the postseason, he had 3,172 points. The only player with more is Michael Jordan in that similar season. So, I mean, he had one of the greatest seasons that we've ever seen from a point guard. I think, in my opinion, as a point guard standpoint, I think it was the greatest point guard season that we've ever seen. A lot of people seem to have different opinions because they're just nostalgic, obviously. Facts and accolades back that up, that SGA had a better season than Steph. But that's here nor there for another conversation, obviously. And the thing is, I was right, man. Like, I was right. I remember in my TikTok, I was in a debate with him, and I was right. Like, I bet he was eating crow when he saw SGA be named Finals MVP. But I was right. SGA is one of the ones, man. The dude is only 26 years old, so he's only going to continually get better, and that's the scarier part, in my opinion. Actually, maybe not even continue to get better, but, I mean, this was his peak season, but he's still young, is what I'm trying to say. He's still he's still young, 26 years old, and I just think he's only going to get better from here on out. And, yeah, speaking of the next segment, I think, you know, this is a truly heartbreaker with Tyrese Haliburton, his injury. He tore his right Achilles in the first quarter, you know, the same calf that he hurt earlier in Game 5. It was so sad. You know, I'm watching the game, and when he got the ball and he's driving left, he was about to drive left, and when he fell to the ground and he turned over the ball, I knew, like, instantly. I was praying and bracing that it wasn't what it was. And when I saw him and he was smacking the ground, smacking the court, I couldn't believe it. It was a true heartbreaker because you already knew what it was and what was coming. And then when you saw the replay, you saw his calf pop. It was like, yeah, man, that's Achilles. And the crazy thing was, like, he was balling in the first quarter. He was balling in the first quarter. He had 9 points, 3 for 4, 3 threes in 7 minutes. So it looked like he was about to have, like, a legacy game. Because when the Pacers score, Tyrese Haliburton scores over 20 points in each of these playoffs, they're like unbeatable. So they're unbeatable when Tyrese scores more than 20 points. And he looked like he was about to have that legacy game. He looked locked. He looked locked in. He looked like, rent was due. And rent was due was a championship. He looked like he was about to have a legacy game, and his moment was there. His moment was there for the taking. It sucks, man. It's hard. It's just a heartbreaker. And for like Tyrese, especially in that moment as a player, like you work so hard to get where you are as an athlete, especially NBA player. You work so hard to get to a Game 7 of the NBA Finals, a championship on the line. Your legacy is basically on the line. And, he knew the risk when he got hurt in Game 5. A calf strain is no joke, man. These calf strains are no joke. It was pretty similar. It's kind of pretty similar to KD, but different circumstance. Well, I guess maybe similar because they were down 3-1, and the Warriors were like, bro, we need you. And I remember vividly, that first quarter, KD was balling. And when he came back from injury, he was balling. And then it happened. We'll never know to this day if KD had not gotten hurt. I think they would have won the series. And I think this is also one of those situations where I think it becomes one of the biggest what ifs in NBA history. Like, what if he didn't get hurt? Like, would they have won? Like, potentially. I really do think they would have won. Really do. I think if he played, I think they would have won the game. If he played the rest of the Game 7, they would have won because he looked like he was about to have like 30 plus. And, he has nothing to hold his hat over or be, obviously, tearing your Achilles is no fun. But he has nothing to be ashamed over, nothing to be mad or sad about. He delivered one of the greatest in postseasons that we've ever seen. Not like stat-wise, but like moment-wise. I feel like every season it was clutch shot after clutch shot after clutch shot. Having a game where having a 30-point triple-double with no turnovers. Hitting ridiculous shot over ridiculous shot. Crazy pass to Pascal Siakam. Game 1, NBA Finals buzzer beater shots. He lifted a damn city on his back. He lifted a damn city up. Felt like Indiana was proud. You could see the city was buzzing because of him. You could see how much energy that he brought, not only to the Pacers, but to the entire city, man. And he has nothing to hold his hat over. In my opinion, I think he is a superstar. Based off this postseason, he proved that he was a superstar. And not only that, the Pacers should have nothing to hold their heads down. They should have no ill will feeling. I mean, obviously losing in the finals, it sucks, but they should not be disappointed how it went. They came into this playoffs having beaten team after team after team, got to the NBA Finals, and they took the best team in the best team in the NBA this year to 7 games. And not to mention, they were up at halftime without their best player, without their leader. They have nothing to hang their head over. Nothing at all. They should be proud. That city should be proud of the Pacers. Should be proud of the Pacers. They should be proud of Tyrese Haliburton. And they should be excited for the future because I do believe Tyrese Haliburton can lead the Pacers to a championship. He can. He can do it. He was literally 3/4 away from doing it, But, I think God has a plan for Tyrese, obviously. Nothing is ever done as accident with God. So, you just see him sending the message on Instagram and Twitter. It definitely sucks, man. Like, he's became one of my favorite players in the league. And, seeing that, it just sucks. I feel like the moment in the game and the opportunity was taken away from him. And, I think he deserves a lot of respect from not just his teammates, but everybody. He knew the risk of, playing with a calf strain that takes weeks to recover. And he sacrificed his body on the line. I'm saying, look, I may not be able to walk. I may not be able to run very, very, very fast, but if I can walk, I'm going to play. I'm going to be there for my team. I'm going to be the leader of my team. I'm going to be there. And that deserves some respect, honestly. I don't think people will ever forget that. In my opinion, I think he's established himself as a Pacer great, in my opinion. But it just sucks, man. The Pacers, they've endured a lot of pain, in my opinion. And I feel like they deserve this moment, and they just didn't get it. They didn't get. We'll never know if they were supposed to win a championship or not. So I think that's what really sucks, in my opinion. But other than that, it was a great finals. It was great finals. We finally got a game. Now, I do wish it was a bit more competitive in Game 7, but like it was a great finals from start to finish. Finally got a Game 7 in an NBA Finals. It was the most watched game set. It was the most watched finals game in over like 10 to 15 years. So they should nothing to head their heads down at all. They should be proud. They made the city proud. Moving on to the next segment, Kevin Durant getting traded to the Rockets. Wow. So the Kevin Durant deal finally happened. He got traded to the Rockets for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the 10th overall draft pick in tomorrow's NBA draft, and 5 second rounders. I think this is a great fit for Kevin Durant, honestly. I think in my last episode I said that, I believe the Rockets or the Spurs were his best ideal fits. And I think Houston won this trade easily. They didn't really have to give up any of their young core or any of their young players or their young core to really hurt them in getting Kevin Durant. Like, they still have Sengun. They still have Amen Thompson. They still have Reed Shepherd. They still have Jabari Smith. They still have Cam Whitmore. They still have Tari Eason. They have they have a very, very good young core. They still have Van Vliet. They still have Steven Adams. So they didn't have to give up any of their younger core players in this trade. So essentially, it didn't cost them that much. And, Jalen Green he's an inconsistent NBA basketball player. The guy's a former number 2 overall draft pick, and he hasn't really panned out. Not panned out. He hasn't really developed into what the Rockets thought he was going to be. Yes, he did change the culture. They got better and better, but he just was stuck, in my opinion. He was the same player he was in the past 4 years, and you see that, and, he just was inconsistent. From 8 points in Game 1 to 38 points and then not scoring over 10 points after that, it's just underwhelming and disappointing, in my opinion. If you're just not consistently, if you're not going where they want to go, I just don't think he was going to be a great fit, in my opinion. I think he was an inconsistent scorer. Maybe he needs the fresh restart button. That could always help. But anyways, Houston, they needed to. The reason why they lost in the playoffs to Golden State in 7 games because they didn't have a bucket getter. Like, their only bucket getter, the person that was shooting the ball and consistently getting points, was Fred VanVleet. Everybody else really couldn't score. And Fred VanVleet is not going to win you a championship being your leading scorer. Kevin Durant can absolutely do that. He is one of the best scorers of all time. And adding that to your already fresh young core, who was an amazing defensive team and there are a whole bunch of athletes on the team, and you already have a top 5, maybe top 3 coach in the game, that's a perfect fit for Kevin Durant. Perfect fit. You're around a young team that's great defensively, they're athletic, and they need you to just be a bucket, man. And he's still that. Obviously he's 36 and he's turning 37 this season, but he's still a flirting with 50, 40, 90 type player, 27 points per game type of scorer. And that's who they need. They needed somebody that consistently get buckets, and that's Kevin Durant. And this is a great fit because they're deep, and they have like guys like Reed Shepherd and Cam Whitmore didn't have a good opportunities, and Reed Shepherd's I think he's gonna have a bigger role next season. And, giving up the 10th pick, really, were you going to draft somebody, a lottery player, that was going to ride the bench, not be in the rotation? So that pick doesn't really hurt you that much. Dylan Brooks doesn't really hurt you that much, even though he's a great defensive player. You have other great defenders, in my opinion. So that guy doesn't really hurt that much. And it's a low rate. I don't think they really hurt that. I don't really think, it really hurt for them, in my opinion. And this is a great trade. You kept your young core. You didn't have to give any of your guys. This is a great move. Great move. And for the Suns, I think they're kind of blowing the team up. Like Devin Booker and Jalen Green, like maybe so there's something there with that backcourt, like scoring wise. Maybe because Jalen Green's really young and they have a new head coach now. But they're trying to get rid of Bradley Beal. Like it is no secret, but it's going to be impossible because this dude has a no trade clause. He's only one of two players in the NBA that has a no trade clause. That's absolutely ridiculous because he is trash. Bradley Beal is not good. He's trash. I remember people trying to tell me when he got traded to the Suns, he's like, oh, well, Bradley Beal's a really good player. He's averaged 33 points a game. Yeah, he averaged 33 points a game on 33 points a game on the Wizards, who's another trash organization and franchise. It's not going to be that hard to be a good player and have 33 points on the Wizards. Sorry. Move on with that. And his contract is ridiculously expensive, and he has a no trade clause, so that makes it extremely hard to trade him. So right now, what is it? Devin Booker. It's just Ryan Neal, Dylan Brooks. I don't know who else is on that team. So I think they're going to blow it up. So if I'm Devin Booker, I wouldn't want to go through another rebuild. If they're planning to rebuild right now, because it looks like they're going to, because this is a clear move that they're going to try and blow up the team. And, they didn't in this trade with Kevin Durant, they didn't really get a whole lot of draft picks back. Like, it's 5 second rounders is okay, but only 1 first rounder, like that stinks. And they don't really have a lot of draft picks too. So I would have liked them to get some more first rounders back in this trade. They didn't really get back many, but they're in the lottery now tomorrow, so we'll see who they get tomorrow. But we'll see. I really think that this is a clear move that they're going to be rebuilding. If I'm Devin Booker, I don't want to go through another rebuild. And I'm saying, look, trade me. I wouldn't be mad if he demanded a trade because I wouldn't want to go through another rebuild. Next segment, obviously the Celtics, they're making their trades right now. Currently today, they made another trade today following the Jrue Holiday trade last night. Jrue Holiday got sent to Portland. He got sent to Portland for Anthony Simons and 2 second-round draft picks. I think the Blazers, this was a kind of a weird, funky trade to get Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday is like 35, 36 years old, 37 years old. And, he's coming off being on a championship contending team. Portland, obviously, look, they have a young team. They have Clinging, Scoot Henderson, who's still developing, Denny Avdia, and some other guys. I just think that, they need to, this wasn't like a player to get because the Blazers aren't going to be in contention. I mean, obviously the Blazers played fantastic in the second round. I mean, the second half of the season. Like, they had a winning record and they had one of the best defenses in the NBA in the second half of the season. But I just don't think that this was like the guy to maybe uplift the team to move on to get to playoff contention, I don't think. I think Jrue is more of a championship contending player. So I would have liked him to go to a championship contending team. But the Blazers were adamant. They wanted him back. This is the second time he's getting traded to the Blazers. Apparently, he was pissed off of getting traded from Boston to Portland. I mean, who wouldn't want to be pissed off getting traded from a championship contending quality team to the Portland Trailblazers? I would be pissed off too. But nonetheless, I think the Portland Trailblazers are actually they have a solid, decent, okay young core, and they played a lot better in the second half of the season this year. So that should obviously be worth something. And for Boston, they're clearing the cap space. This is clearly and the second trade that they obviously made was they traded Kristaps Porzingis. It was a big 3-time deal trade between Boston, Atlanta, and Brooklyn, where Kristaps got traded to the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta sent Georges Niang back, and Brooklyn got Terrence Mann from Atlanta and their first round draft pick. So I think I think this is clearly they're salary dumping these trades, and it's smart. It's very smart by Brad Stevens because he knows that the team is not going to be in contention next year, or they're going to be even good enough to make the playoffs next year because, obviously JT, he has his Achilles injury. He's not going to come back he's not going to be playing at all next season. And you're over the second you're over the second apron, so you got to make moves to get under it and be flexible. And they're essentially just punting. They know that they're saying they're essentially punting the season. They're punting next year. Smart, because they know that they're not going to be in contention. And it's smart to punt. But they get back in the Blazers trade. They get Anthony Simons, who's a good offensive player. He could score about 20 a game. He's a good shooter, so he fits the Joe Mazzulla offense. But he's not a very good defender. But it's okay if he's not really going to be that great for Boston because, one, they're punting the season, and two, he's on an expiring contract. So if he's not that good, they could just let him go in free agency. They can just let him walk. So it's a good move, and these are these moves that they're making to be flexible for when JT and JB get back, and they can retool around those two and build the team around those two for when they both get back healthy. Because I know JB also had his knee surgery, so when they both get back healthy and they're both playing in 2026, they can retool the team how they want it to be. And for Brooklyn they have 5 first-round draft picks for tomorrow's draft, which is crazy. I think they're definitely going to make a trade tomorrow. They're definitely going to move up from 8 to potentially 4, maybe even 3 with us, maybe even 5, 6, what player they want. I think they're definitely going to be trading up because they have 5 first-round draft picks, which is absolutely nuts. And even Atlanta getting Kristaps Porzingis, you have a lineup with Trey, Dyson Daniels, Ricochet, Jalen Johnson, and Kristaps Porzingis. That's not a bad lineup, and especially Quinn Snyder was a pretty good coach. I think they could elevate and move the standings up from playing to potentially lock in for playoffs. But that's all up to KP's health. I think obviously he was sick this year, and he didn't really know much about his sickness and his injuries. So I think if that team can stay healthy next year and they're young and whatnot, I think the sky's the limit for them, obviously. And Trey, he deserves to be in the playoffs because he's a really good player. And yeah. Moving on to the next segment. The NBA draft is obviously tomorrow, and there's a lot of uncertainty, and the draft really starts at the third overall draft pick because we know where the first 2 picks are. Obviously, the Dallas Mavericks are selecting Cooper Flag, and the number 2 overall draft pick, the San Antonio Spurs are going to be selecting Dylan Harper. But what about the Sixers? And obviously in my last episode, I talked about, the Sixers should make the right draft choice and nail this pick. But I know I told y'all who I wanted. I wanted Ace Bailey because I think this dude has elite talent and his ceiling is so high. But after the recent reports, I don't know who I want now. I don't know what to do, who I want to pick. What should we do? Should we trade down? We were trying to trade up. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I don't know. So Ace Bailey, he canceled his Sixers workout and his meeting. So he canceled the workout, the meeting, the team meeting, the organization meeting, the dinner, the hotel, everything. He canceled everything. The Sixers had that all booked up, and even the flight, down to the damn flight. And he canceled it. So he has not worked out with a single team at all. Not a single team he's worked out with or even met with. So what is he doing? What is first of all, his agent is Omar Cooper, is Sharif Cooper's dad. So you already messed up there because Sharif Cooper is not an NBA player right now. He's in overseas. And you're represented by this guy, and he clearly has no idea what he's doing. Why would you, as a lottery pick, you're mocked as a consensus top 3 player, even top 5 player. Why would you not meet with any team for a workout, interview, anything? Do you know how stupid that sounds? That's an agent who's telling us he has no idea what he's doing at all. So now it leaves you as these teams that have red flags now. They're like, well, we don't really know, his character or what who he is. Who does he think he is? Because now there's reports that he doesn't want to play for Philly. He wants to determine where he wants to go, like as if he has a choice. It doesn't work like that, Ace. He may be a good dude, probably a good teammate, probably a good leader, but his agent and his camp, it doesn't work like that. You can't just determine where a player goes in the NBA draft. Unless you're not Cooper Flagg, it does not matter. You can't determine where you go, bro. It just can't. It does not work like that. And now it gives your client a bad rep to these other teams, because now these other teams are skeptical of drafting him because they don't know who you are. They don't know your characteristics. You don't know what you're like as a player. They haven't seen you work out with the team. They don't know your play style. And if you can shoot 23, if you can shoot, if you can defend, if you can rebound, if you can pass, they don't know any of that. So now he goes from the third pick, which is probably a lot of money. A top 3 pick is a lot of money. And he's moving down. He's probably going to be slipping tomorrow. He's losing money. Did you know that, Omar Cooper? He's going to be losing money from the third pick down to wherever you want him to. He's going to be losing money. So you're already hurting him there. Not to mention that the team and list that y'all put out was absolutely a disgrace and disgusting. They said that he wanted to play for the Wizards, the Pelicans, and I believe it was the Hornets. 3 teams that are completely trash and have never won anything. So it seems to me clear that you just want to chuck up 30 shots a game. He didn't want to play for the Sixers because it wasn't pathway to stardom, to being a star. So you're selfish then. You're selfish. You're not team-oriented. You want to go somewhere and shoot 30 shots a game, not be a winning player. I guess you're going to be getting a nice bag, cool, but you're never going to win anything. So it tells us and everybody that you're not going to be a winning player. You don't care about winning. You just want to shoot 40 shots a game, get you a little 28, 25, 24 points. Oh, look at my stats. That's garbage. So you would rather play for the Wizards and Pelicans and the Hornets, but not want to play for a winning team that's going to be a lot better next season, and you get to potentially learn behind Paul George, who is kind of like your play style? It'll be great for your development when he leaves? Nah, man. I don't like that. He can go, in my opinion. He could go. For all I care. Have fun in DC. Have fun in Brooklyn. Like, Brooklyn, you won't win anything in Brooklyn. I mean, hey, they have 5 first-round draft picks, but Brooklyn ain't going to win anything. They haven't won anything in my life. If they couldn't win with Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving, you think they're going to win with you? Oh, man. You can't control your landing spot if you want to be a winning player or superstar. You have to be able to show up and compete. For the final segment of the show, I've never really done this on any episode or podcast or any podcast. I'm giving y'all a story time. Yeah, we're not doing top 5 of the week today. We're doing a story time. I was at the Fanatics Fest on Saturday in New York City at the Javits Center. It was my first time. Obviously, this is the second year of them doing it. And I had a lot of fun, honestly. And it was a really cool experience, especially as being a sports fan. I think, obviously, it's like the sports Comic-Con, obviously. And it was really cool and fun. So we got there around like I think it was like 9:15, 9:30 is when we arrived. And, we got our little badges, the 1-day pass. And the first show that we watched the Tom Brady and Kevin Hart show, the Coldest Balls. Obviously, Coldest Balls was live. Kevin Hart does his regular show on YouTube and another network. And, I got to see Tom Brady in person for the first time. So that was obviously really cool. I took a video of him and the caption said, "Nick, this is Nick Foles' son." Joking, but it was really cool. And Tom Brady was dropping some knowledge on us and some wisdom, about hard work and determination. I totally agree. But I think the funniest part was, I went with my mom, and it was amazing. She had a good time too, and she was standing right now. We were like where we were standing in the crowd. we were standing right next to the cameraman, the camera people that was filming the show. And, like we're the dude, they're about to record, they're getting ready to record the show. And my mom, she starts talking to the cameraman about like what camera she's using and what camera he's using and whatnot. I think the funniest part is she pulled out her Amazon app, her Amazon phone, her phone with her Amazon account, and showed her like one of the camera things that she had in her cart or whatever, and showed it to the cameraman. I just couldn't stop laughing. I was trying so hard not to laugh because like this dude was a professional cameraman, and my mom is asking, like, it was funny. But anyways, it was a really good time. Obviously, had a lot of fun. Another thing, I think the second show that we did was after that show, we went to go see LeBron's The Shop show live. And ooh, let me tell you, we were in the presence of the GOAT James. And we go downstairs. Before we had to go to the show, it was in the theater. The theater was where they were filming their show in The Shop. And so we're in line for about 2 hours. I think that was the craziest part. We were in line for 2 hours for LeBron. And, it was the general admission people. We were the general admission people. It was VIP people. And the people waiting to go in the show, it was the VIP people. And then the second people it was the regular VIP people, the people who paid like $300. It's basically like a fast pass, like early access to get in line for the show. And then the third line was the media people. There was a bunch of these content creators waiting to go inside to the theater to watch the show, obviously. And then it was us, the general admission people. And I'm telling you right now, the show started at 1:30, we got in line about 11:30, and we were at the beginning of the line. The line was literally about like a mile long. It was ridiculously long. And if we didn't get there early, if we weren't in the front of the line, I don't think we made it, because I don't think they let everybody in. I don't think the room could have held that many people. But I think, we got in. We couldn't even, where we were sitting, we couldn't even sit down. We had to stand on our chairs to see the show. And the show was, I think it was probably the biggest show of the entire day. We went on the best day, obviously. We went, because the show, it had, obviously, LeBron. It had Victor Wembanyama, Tom Brady, Kai Cenat. Like, it was the biggest, like, show at the Fanatics Fest. And it was so cool just to see LeBron be in the same room and building as LeBron James. To see LeBron talk about, him playing another 10 years, seeing Kai Cenat, that was really cool. Because Kai, he also had a lot of fans in there as well. Wemby is so damn tall. I think Wemby is like twice his height. From whatever you see on a screen of Victor Wembanyama, he is twice his height in real time in person. It is crazy. He made Tom Brady look like 5'5". It was ridiculous. He made Kai Cenat look like he was 3 foot. And then after that show, we went to go watch. We were walking around the center stage, and then we saw Joe Burrow playing one of the games. He was like standing like outside, and whenever you were walking around the center stage and you just saw a mob of people taking out their phones and recording, you knew it was like a celebrity. And we saw Joe Burrow. That was pretty cool. He was like signing some stuff, and we took some videos of him. And then after that, I'm trying to think of what else we did. We were walking around the center stage, and then we saw James Harden and Drewski. James Harden was playing golf video game, whatever, and he was missing his golf shots. And like I said, this dude is still. And when I was taking a video of him, I shouted him when he missed and he got mad. I said, just like Game 7, because I'm still salty about 2 years ago, James Harden, when you choked in 2023, choked our title hopes. But that's another story for another day, obviously. But it was still cool. It was still really cool to see James Harden. Like there was a mob of people when he was trying to leave the game, and then obviously Drewski, he was right there, and then Drewski, he walked right past us. That was really cool. And then I think the craziest part of that, I'm trying to think if we did any of those shows after. I don't think we did any shows after that one, but I think the worst of the athlete, any of the athlete celebrities walking by. So we're at the center stage, right? We're at the center stage, and we're standing there trying to like figure out what to do. It's me and my mom. And I'm on my phone. I'm looking around. I'm on my phone, and then I see to my right, it's security people. It's just a bunch of security people crowding one player. Well, it looked like someone who was famous. I turned to my right. I couldn't really see him from where I was standing, but I tilt my head to the right. I go, "Oh, yo, that's Jared McCain. That's Jared McCain." I see it's Jared McCain. And I was just walking by. I head up to his face. I head up to him like, yo, Jared, I'm a big fan. I'm a huge Sixers fan. I was wearing a Bucks throwback Giannis jersey with my Eagles hat. I probably should have worn a Sixers jersey, but he's like, yo, I'm a big fan. He's like, can I take a photo with you? And he said, yeah, sure. So I'm getting ready to take the photo. He grabs my shoulder, and the security dude, the person in front of him, the security guy, he pushed me away and puts my phone down. And I took a really bad selfie, and I didn't even get Jared McCain in it. And I bumped into Jared McCain's shoulder, and then he left, and I didn't get the photo. I was so mad. I was mad for about 30 minutes. I couldn't believe it. Because I thought I sold, but the security dude really was the one who blocked my chance. Like, Jared McCain said yes. And, he was really, he was cool, but, I wish I got the photo with him. But the next part, we did the photo op with Juju Watkins. I got to meet her, take a photo with her. I'll show you a picture. And, that was really cool because Juju was like the best player in women's college basketball, and she's going to be a top 3 draft pick in the WNBA when she gets to the WNBA. And that was really cool. I actually messed up twice. The first time I messed up the photo because I was leaning too much to my right. But they made me take a retake with her because they knew I messed up. And that was really nice and cool. I got to meet her twice. I gave her the fight on when I left. I said, Juju, fight on, fight on. She said, fight on back. And that was really cool. I told her I was a big fan. I said good luck on, everything. And so that was really cool. And after that, we just left. And then as we were trying to leave, taxi, we were trying to get a taxi back. The dude robbed us he stole about $70 worth our time because it was like a 5-minute ride from Penn Station. He said $30+ for congested traffic. And that was ridiculous. But anyways, I had a really good time. I would definitely recommend any sports fan, honestly, because there's a whole bunch of things. Autographs, photo ops, celebrity shows, trading cards, bunch of trading cards, merch, games, everything. It was really cool. There's a lot of content creators there, a lot of stuff there. And it's just it's basically like Sports Comic-Con. And I would recommend it to, a lot of sports fans. And I had a lot of fun. And that's going to do it for another episode of Timeout with Makali, Season 2. This is another great episode in my opinion. Hopefully we'll be back in the main setup. This is just a little temporary setup for this episode. But please make sure to subscribe, follow the podcast on Apple Podcasts, subscribe on YouTube, like, comment, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Peace.